right. So you want to have the wrist in like a neutral position. All right. We'll go off of the second, I guess, for now is fine. All right. So we'll use the second for my reference here. All right. So we're just going to clear everything else out of the way. So axis of rotation. You see that? Is that cool? That's cool. Yeah. So MCP flexion. Axis of rotation is dorsal MCP. Okay. Stationary arm is midline of the metacarpal, so right up here. Okay. Moving arm is the midline of the proximal phalanx. So we want to get everything lined up. Right. And the way these are wonderful finger gonies, guys. Thank you very much. Thanks, Joe. So we want to get everything lined up. And what's normal here, guys? And the one way we'll know we're too far, or we've pushed, because a lot of you guys are going to be like this, is once, I don't know if you guys can see that, you'll see that there starts to be a gap with the Goni. And you forced her and you're pinching her and she's uncomfortable. I really don't care about her right now, but you've started to pinch. You want to get a general feeling of end feel. You don't want her to compensate so far that she's kind of flexing everywhere else. You're just doing tissue stretch, right? Once you get to about 90, unless the person is very, very hypermobile, you'll know you're there. She's probably got slightly more. She's about 95, and then she starts to bow off. Okay? Extension. We can be, I think he said you could be on the volar surface or the same surface. And here he says volar. You literally just keep the same setup and just reverse it. All right? So I would be. Guys, bear with us for a sec. We're trying to get the everything set up right. All right. So the thumb MCP extension, or second finger MCP extension. If you're following Bill's manual, you'd be on the volar surface, right? You're right at the same exact joint, okay? The same setup, just volar surface. And you're going to go back into extension. And I'm getting about 45. Same exact rule applies. Once the Goni starts to come off, it starts to be a big crease, you start getting more just crazy tissue stretch, and everything else is moving to get there, you know you've gone too far. The goal here is not to get her into a full wrist extension and pull her back and go, is that comfortable? You know, you just want to think about what you're doing. You want everything to be in neutral. So compensations would be everything stays in that neutral plane, right? Get a general idea of what you want first. All right, so that's MCP flexion and extension. MCP abduction, everything is coming off of the third finger, is referenced to the third finger, all right? The third finger, I believe Bill says only abducts, does not adduct, all right? But all of the other fingers abduct away from the third finger, and they adduct towards. Does that make sense? So, if I have my fingers together like this, and I'm going, because I was going with the second finger, if here's me at midline, here's my abduction. That makes sense? If I start here, here's my adduction. Does that make sense? All right, so I'm going to start right there. Okay, so we have the axis of rotation is the dorsal MCP joint. Okay. And what we're going to do is get that lined up. We're in line with the second, all right, along the shaft of the third, and we're just going to come away from the second. We are getting approximately 35 degrees. And what do we have as normal? 25. Right? What do you guys think adduction should be? It should be 0. Why? Because it comes back. You're not going to go cross midline and go across like that. That wouldn't make much sense because that's not really functional, correct? So the goal is just to start away and then come back, and you're looking to get back to 0, its resting point. So it's measured off of where you're starting from. Does that make sense? Okay. Then we got, so that's MCP abduction and adduction. PIP flexion. So guys, PIP joint, DIP joint. Pretty self-explanatory, pretty easy. PIP flexion, DIP flexion. PIP extension, DIP extension. Go back to the finger Goni, all right? First thing we're looking at is PIP extension, flexion, sorry. So you want to go to the dorsal surface, okay, of the third proximal phalanx. Then you want to be right in between that distal portion, and you want to flex. Same rules apply. Once you start to come out, start pinching her, you've gone way too far. You're going to have slightly more, I believe, as you go ulnarly, he says. You tell you that guy in the class? It goes to like 135. But we'll go with 110 as a norm. We're on the second here, so the second is closer to 110. That make sense? Extension, dorsal or volar. All right, we'll stay on dorsal. Exact opposite. Just bring her right out. We just want to see how far she comes. She has, literally, she is right there. That's it. DIP, she has more. PIP is right at 0. Okay? And then we go to DIP, same exact thing. We're at DIP joint here. Again, you're working with very small joints. Normal is 80. You can see how I bow it off. So I have to back off a little bit. And she has about 65. And then extension. You can go on either surface. All right, but extension, I know she has a little bit. So extension, she has about 45. Okay? The hand is not as hard as it seemed. It's just a matter of going through everything slow. Grab the finger Gonies, go through it slow. Just understand the motions. That's the key. The only thing that's really hard about the hand is really the CMC stuff, which is really just a matter of understanding the motions because they're a little weird. But we'll practice this first, and then we'll go right to the thumb. Any questions about anything we just did? There's no dumb question, guys.
Guys, how do you know how much of a gap is too much of a gap when you're using the Gonies?